Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is the All Blacks taking on the PUMAS, New Zealand versus Argentina, the first of the two Rugby Championship clashes this morning, and a very interesting clash it should be because Argentina are looking to go back-to-back victories against New Zealand. And New Zealand, the New Zealand side's a very much struggling side, isn't it? You know, they really haven't been able to get the results lately, and they're under a lot of pressure. And this could really be it, you know. For I mean, despite the fact that the New Zealand Rugby Union came out and sort of very much backed Ian Foster, if they keep losing matches like they have been, for example, then how long can you continue backing? Because if they were to lose this match today, it means that in 2022, for example, they would have played 7 matches and won just 2. And that would also mean that they've won 2 of their last 9 matches. So to have lost, 7 of your last 9 matches, it becomes very difficult to start justifying keeping a coach who is struggling as much as Ian Foster is. And quite a lot of sort of permutations for that. Obviously, we're a year out of the World Cup, so, they really need to make a decision sooner rather than later. And they seemingly have made a decision because they have said that, no, they're going to back him and he will be the coach until the World Cup. But again, as I said, if things start going badly, then how long can you keep backing him? How long can you keep saying, well, he's our guy and we believe that he can do the world job at the World Cup. So plenty of things to watch out for. And for me, what's probably the most interesting to watch is to see exactly how this Argentina side can keep going, can keep playing, can keep progressing, because I think that what we're seeing is we are seeing an Argentina side which is starting to bring a little bit of discipline to their game. And we've always seen Argentina as a side who can beat, sometimes in a day, any team in the world, but they've never had that consistency. And if they start bringing consistency to their game, then all of a sudden, we're talking about an Argentina side which can do quite a lot of special things. And I think Michael Cheika is the right sort of player, right sort of coach for them, because he's very passionate. But at the same time, I think he's found a very good balance of making sure that Argentina continue to bring the passion, but also can bring a little bit of discipline with that and be able to sort of sometimes be able to take a step back and not get carried away with emotions, which has sometimes very much been the issue with Argentina over the past few years. Sometimes they've been almost too passionate where they haven't been able to turn it down, and all of a sudden are getting yellow cards, red cards, conceding far too many penalties, getting carried away, and all of a sudden they're in trouble. But it's about finding that balance, isn't it? It's about finding that balance of passion, of aggression, of never say die attitude, but at the same time making sure that you are getting the job done. The conditions look horrible, by the way. It is pouring with rain, which will be interesting to see who that actually plays into the hands of, because you think that New Zealand, who like to play with a lot of ball in hand, might struggle with the conditions, and the fact that they have sometimes struggled with sort of the kicking game of theirs. They could potentially struggle a little bit with the rain. Having said that, Argentina also saw that they'd like to keep ball in hand, so also might not be enjoying the rainy conditions too much. So yeah, and I think when it comes to sort of conditions like this, conditions which you don't sort of often experience, it also comes down to who can adapt the quickest. And it will be very interesting to see whether the two sides can adapt and get themselves up to speed quite quickly. We do have a poll running in the comments. I see a couple of people there as well. So welcome, LB. Not sure if Everyday Culture says, please Argentina do this for us. MC says, shocked at the poll. Nick Berry referring, guys, even as an Aussie, firmly in New Zealand's corner, All Blacks by 20. David Lowe says, All Blacks are more determined now. Not sure if Everyday Culture says, Nick Berry is an Aussie, right? MC Records that will fade New Zealand over Argentina. Our depth is a ref. Go Pumas. Pumas by 10, says Thomas Luke. Watch every day. Culture says, destroy them. Vamos, Los Pumas. Argentina by 3. So we're going to get some score predictions in a little bit. I'm also going to show a bit of a video on how you can actually watch the game. By the way, if you're also looking for a stream for Australia versus South Africa later, we do have a video. We've got a step-by-step guide which actually shows you exactly how to watch the game on a free-to-air channel. So if you're still looking for a stream, then check out the description So that video, for example, the mock video will be going live in about 15 minutes, and basically gonna have a bit of build up there, which will probably be most of the watch along stuff like that, as well as a few other things. So plenty of coverage throughout the day. Remember that after the Springbok game, we'll also have a player rating show. We'll have every single press conference from all the various matches up this week or up today on the channel rather. So plenty of content to come throughout the day, which should be very, very exciting, very cool. And I feel like today is moving day with regards to the Rugby Championship. I feel like, if New Zealand and South Africa both get a win, then all of a sudden the Rugby Championship remains competitive as we enter the last two rounds, and they can go either way. If they lose, for example, then suddenly Argentina and Australia could be sort of one win away from winning a Rugby Championship. And I don't think anyone would have really predicted that those two would have been the two teams leading the way. But it all comes down to whether they can back up their performances, because that's been the problem with the Rugby Championship. Teams have not backed up their performances. First round, we saw Argentina and South Africa win. Then New Zealand, we saw South Africa and Australia win. Second round, we saw New Zealand and Argentina respond. Argentina then carried on. They're the only team who've actually gone back-to-back victories in the entire Rugby Championship across the first three rounds. So if they can go back-to-back, one would imagine that they very much have the momentum, because they're also then taking on South Africa in Argentina in the next match after this. So plenty of things to look out for. But it says, hey Steve, the cold there and Josie. Actually, not really, to be honest. I think I just put this on in more of a habit than anything else. I was out on the golf course yesterday and it was very warm. So it's quite cool to see that spring has really sprung. Hopefully conditions in Sydney are looking a little bit better than what they're looking like in New Zealand. Hamilton is the venue for today, and it's an unchanged All Black side, which I think itself is quite interesting, and it's probably quite frustrating to see from a New Zealand point of view, to see so many players struggling, a team struggling, and yet very few changes being made. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see sort of how long they can continue justifying picking these players when they're not getting the results. But they are trying as long as possible, from the looks of it, to keep this team. And Ian Foster really showing belief in players who, so far, have not always rewarded that belief. So a big game for a lot of them, and a couple of changes back. Brody Metallic is back into the team, which I think will be a big boost for them, from a leadership point of view, as well from a player point of view, if he can get it back to sort of his best. And yeah, I'm just trying to organize a video quickly here. Right, so if you're still looking to watch the match, this is a guide on exactly how you can watch pretty much the entire Rugby Championship, really. But in particular, much like this, for example, if you're looking for Australia versus South Africa later, you can download ExpressVPN. You can then watch on a free-to-air channel. We've got a guide for that, which we'll put up a little bit later. But in terms of how to watch this match, this is how you can do it.
if you have a SuperSport subscription and you are not in South Africa and therefore you can't use it, through the use of a VPN, you can geolocate your laptop or device so that it makes it seem as if you are in South Africa, and then you get access to SuperSport. And the reason this is so important is that, for example, I recommend watching the Rugby Championship on Flow Rugby through Flow Sports. It is a month-to-month subscription, so you do have to subscribe. Obviously, all of these are paid for subscriptions. So it's all about sort of finding the most cost-efficient way. Now, I find that Flow Rugby is the most cost-efficient. As I said, it's a month-to-month, which means there's no long-term commitment. You sign up, and if you get a time right, you can sign up and manage to watch the entire Rugby Championship. And it means that you'll be able to watch every single match. You'll be able to watch them back in the full-length replays, for example, which is very useful. But if you're not in the USA where it is based, you have to use a VPN. Now, we recommend ExpressVPN because it's something we've tried a lot of different VPNs, and ExpressVPN has always been the most reliable for us. So we recommend ExpressVPN. And basically what you need to do is a link down in the description. Go and buy ExpressVPN and get ExpressVPN. You can also sign up for a trial, for example. But the reason I say go and invest in it is that there's so many different games you'll be able to watch once you have it. For example, last year, both the Springboks versus Australia games were shown on 9 in Australia, which is a free-to-air broadcaster. So if you have ExpressVPN, for example, you connect to Australia server and you can watch the game for free. And that is probably going to be the case once again this year. So get ExpressVPN, and then basically what happens, you install, and then you can select various regions where you can connect to service, which will geolocate your device there. Once you've done that, choose whichever broadcaster you want to use, and you can all you have to do is just choose whatever server from whatever country of the broadcast of your chosen broadcaster. So, for example, if you want to go SuperSport, you have to geolocate your device to be in South Africa. If you want to go Throw Rugby, for example, you geolocate your device in the USA. All you have to do is turn it on. You'll get immediate access. You sign up, and you're away. And as I said, it's showing all the Rugby Championship games. It shows a lot of other internationals. Flow Rugby, for example, has the Currie Cup. So they've got a whole bunch of different competitions, but I really do recommend getting yourself a VPN because it just will give you access to so many different competitions. I use ExpressVPN to watch Top 14, for example, as well as Premiership. You can use it to watch URC. There are so many different sort of rugby competitions and other sporting competitions that you suddenly get access to and that you can watch for far cheaper, if not for free, with the use of a VPN. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. We will be doing a weekly video on how to watch them, which broadcasters. So if they are free-to-air broadcasts, we'll let you know which ones they are and exactly how you can watch each clash on a week-to-week basis. Thank you very much for watching. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll chat to you guys all very, very soon.
Right, so there we go. So if you want to on how to watch the match, check out the description in the video. Download VPN, you can subscribe to Flow Rugby.
Hello and welcome to the Rugby on Flow Sports. Today's guide on how to watch the Rugby Championship, which will be kicking off this weekend. First up,
be able to cover this match.
Will be the Springboks taking on the All Blacks in Mbombela Stadium, 5 p.m. South African time.
Now, which is a
in Mbombela, in Mpumalanga. It will be the home of the first game between the two sides in 4 years. Last time the All Blacks were in South Africa was 2018. So it is said to be a very momentous occasion.
It is time. The anthems are done over in Wellington, which means that next thing up is
they're right to be called one of the best rugby nations in the world at the moment because
for New Zealand versus
they're kind of tumbling down the world rankings. Currently sitting
always
in
an
fourth
emotional
place.
anthem for Argentina.
For the
they're
first
very much
time, maybe over a decade, going into the Rugby Championship, not as the favourite. After that, Australia will be taking on Argentina in Argentina. So
that is the
two Australasian sides are away in the first round. And they'll have back-to-back away games. Well. Obviously, next weekend they'll also be away, and we will have another game in South Africa between the Springboks.
Smash like on the video as well, and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully, we will see. I'm hoping to see an Argentina victory here, because I think that if they can go and get this job done, I think it'll be pretty special for the Argentinian fans, for the Rugby Championship as well. It's the first time that they've ever gone back-to-back Rugby Championship victories. So the question is now, can they go back-to-back victories against New Zealand for the first time? So going to the sides, New Zealand completely unchanged. If we look at the 1 through to 15, it's Ethan de Groot, Samasoni Takawao, Tua Lomax, Samuel Whitelock, Scott Barrett, Shannon Frizzell, Sam Kane, Artie Severe is the same pack that's faced the box as well as the Argentina last weekend. You then got Richie Mwanga partnering Aaron Smith, the halfback combination, Caleb Clark, David Havili, Rico Wani, Will Jordan, and Geordie Barrett as the back line. Off the bench, Dane Coles into the side. George Bower, Fletcher Newell retain their places. Brody Retallick into their side, as well as Dalton Papali'i, Finley Christie, Bjorn Barrett, and Kuntupai are the backline replacements. For Argentina, a couple of changes for them. It's Thomas Gallo into the starting lineup, or it was the remaining starting lineup. Junior Montoya, Joel Slavy, and then you got Guido Petty, Thomas Lavinini, Santiago Grandona, Marcus Kramer, Pablo Matera. Thomas Cabelli comes into the side, partner Santiago Carreras at fly half. Santiago Cordero comes into the side, and then Matthias Orlando continues partners Matthias Moroni. Emiliano Buffelli was fantastic with the boots, and he keeps his spot in the team. Jean Cruz Malia at full back. Off the bench for Argentina, Santiago Stachino, Michael Vivas, Eduardo Bello, Matias Alemano, Jean-Martin Gonzalez, who scored a try last weekend, Gonzalo Bertano, Benjamin Bertapoleta, and Lucio Cinti. Last few words between the Argentinian players before we do have kickoff. Right, a very wet conditions over in Hamilton. Argentina will have kickoff, and important for them to start well. I think if they start getting the first few boys, stuff like that, it'll be interesting to start to see if the All Blacks can remain calm or whether you start to sort of assume panic stations. Nick Berry blows his whistle. And we are underway. Richard Morgan going toward the right-hand side. And it's an early touch for Pablo Matera, who is now playing his rugby in New Zealand for the Crusaders. And it's an early knock-on from Argentina. So the wet conditions are already taking its first victim. Turnover ball here for New Zealand, Artie Severe. Looking for the offload, decides to cut inside. And it's the first tackle for Thomas Lavanini, who made a lot of tackles last weekend. Artie Severe pick up and go. So it's good so far for New Zealand. And a penalty advantage as well as Lomax takes the ball in. So early opportunity for points for New Zealand. Takawao pick up and go. Good momentum here for the All Blacks. They go to Whitelock. Aaron Smith goes to Mwanga, goes to Geordie Barrett. Geordie Barrett goes flat to Rico Wani. He tries to get the offload away. The tackle does get it to Aaron Smith, goes to Mwanga. Mwanga steps inside and is brought down by Santiago Grandona. Now Aaron Smith caught on the ball, and they go back for the penalty. Right, big decision. Yeah, I mean, one match you're going to have to take the points. Just towards the right-hand side, this will be a very, very easy 3 points, and they are going to take it. So New Zealand will be able to get the scoreboard ticking nice and early. And just come straight out of the hands. Trying to work out what the penalty's for here. I didn't show the replay there, so I'm not entirely sure what the penalty's for, but Richie Mwanga, he got 3 from 5 last weekend compared to Mariano Peferi, who got 100% off the tee. But this is a pretty easy chance here for Mwanga, who should be able to get things ticking over nice and early for New Zealand. And no issues there from Mwanga. So New Zealand taking an early lead, 3 points to 0 after just 2.5 minutes. Pretty much the perfect start, really, for New Zealand. Early mistake from Argentina. A penalty conceded. They're taking the points. Right, now Perez will get these back underway for Argentina. They go towards the right-hand side. Oh, it was almost brilliantly charged down by Boffelli. I mean, New Zealand just watched that come down. Nobody even had thought about taking the ball. Advantage for the knock-on here at the moment. Should be advantage over as Kane carries it up. Aaron Smith now looking for the box kick on the base of the ruck. Aaron Smith's been touched here, so it's not going to go out. Boffelli gives it inside to Melia. First opportunity here for Archie with ball in hand. Pretty flat to Paulo Materi. He's hit hard in the tackle by Sam Kane. Clean ball though. Ball short. And it's been knocked on. And it will be the first scrum of the day. So another mistake. The second knock-on here from Argentina. Well, third actually, because Failure also knocked it on. So we have our first set piece of the game. Aaron Smith very chuffed with how things are going at the moment. But Sam Kane already looked very much up for it, making two very good tackles there. I think it was Maroney who just didn't really expect the ball there when it actually did pop through to him. So knocking it on. So we have first scrum. I was pretty impressed with how Argentina managed to, even if they didn't find dominance. Let's see how Archie can deal with New Zealand's scrum today. Pretty solid scrum at the moment. All Blacks starting to get dominance, but it has been told to use it. Aaron Smith goes to Mwanga. Mwanga goes down the center of the park. And Carreras is back. Finds touch inside New Zealand half. It's a very nice clearance from the Argentina 10. Sam Kane off the back line goes to Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith goes to Havili. Good hands here to Jordy Barrett trying to get on the outside of Maroney. And the knock-on comes from Will Jordan to turn over ball. And Matthias Orlando steps in touch, so it will be a knock-on. So it's a scrum for Argentina. And I think that the word knock-on in the scrum is probably going to be used quite a lot so far in this game. We've already had 4 knock-ons in the first 5 minutes. Very wet conditions. But it was New Zealand did well there to go out wide and just trying to get. I mean, he got outside of Matthias Maroney. It would have been a trouble time, but the outside centre does well to bring down Jordy Barrett, and then Will Jordan should be taking it really. And Orlando is not being able to get into the field of play, so it'll be a scrum for Argentina this time. Almost knock on, but Argentina have kept possession. Argentina starting to go down to the boot. Will Jordan carrying it up into contact. Contestable kick here, and Carreras has knocked it on as he comes up with another knock on. Richie Mwanga looking for the counter attack. Jordy Barrett sees a bit of space. Puts the kick in, advantage over. And Argentina return the favour. And Avili on the turn takes it well up the air. He returns the favour and does find touch. It's a good touch finder inside Argentina territory, so it'll be Puma's ball. And Carreras going to the boot again, but this is going to run too far, I think. It's going to run far too far. That's a massive kick from Carreras, and it'll be a scrum all the way back inside Argentina's territory. So that's a really big mistake from the fly half. I don't know if he thought that with the wet conditions, the ball might just hold up a little bit, but he's absolutely launched that. And all of a sudden, he's given New Zealand the scrum inside the Argentina's half. Aaron Smith feeding to the scrum. All Blacks looking for a second chance, trying to milk a penalty. And a duo penalty advantage. Aaron Smith goes down the blind side. Richie Mwanga is brought down well. But they've got a penalty advantage here to the All Blacks. It's inside Argentina territory, so this could very well be 6-0. Big hit made by Petty. It looks like another penalty advantage. Chip ahead, and Jordy Barrett gets it away to Ricky Owani, who comes away with it inside 22. And another penalty advantage there from Nick Berry. Another advantage as well. So Argentina, we spoke about how good the discipline was last weekend, but they've just conceded 4 penalty advantages in one passage of play. Quick ball here. And Ethan de Groot comes short, and Ethan de Groot is over. For Argentina, very, very messy so far. And Ethan de Groot gets his first, I think it's just the second try of his career. And I mean, the momentum here. I mean, the kick over the top. Jordy Barrett, so Will Jordan got ahead there, then fell towards Rico Owani. And Argentina's scramble defense was just left. I mean, it was such a good line being run as well by Ethan de Groot. Yeah, Parliamentary not be able to stop him from that distance out. So the dominance really continues. And Mwanga adds the extra 2, so 10 points to 0 after 11 minutes. New Zealand looking good so far, looking very sharp. Definitely seem to be coping with the wet conditions much better than Argentina in the early stages of this game. I'll say the group. Chap, it's literally how he says it. So unfortunately, that's how you have to say it. Like, imagine someone, you tell them, hi, my name's Steven. They say, okay, cool, you're Stafford. And you're like, no, it's Steven. And like, no, it's Stafford. And they go with that for the rest of the thing. So if that's how he says it, that's how I'm going to say it, because that's his name and he gets to decide how he says it, to be fair. Like, I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that's how he says it. Unfortunately, people do get to decide how their names get said. Aaron Smith from the base of the ruck. And does find touch. Actually, I just need to take a little bit of time to just calm down a little bit. They looked so ready and so up for it and so settled last weekend, but just look a little bit flustered at the moment. Not really coping with the rain, which continues to pour. And once again, another knock-on from Argentina. And some Takahara comes away with that. And Artie Smith running a really good line off Smith. And it bounces towards on the side of the All Blacks. And Kane, but they've kicked ahead. And if this stays in, it could be interesting. It does go out. Cordero was tearing after it, and that's someone who very rarely loses a foot race. So that could have been very, very interesting that it managed to stay in. But Jordy Barrett from the back of the line out launches it. trying to find touch. Bounce in, reminding of a friend, he decides to carry a little bit inside. Looking for your options, then goes himself, just puts his head down, brought down by Geordie Barrett and Caleb Clark, or Rico Rani, I think, actually. Maroney now, Argentina gap into 22. A little bit isolated there, but Bandera does very well too. And there's a knock on at the ruck. So every single time Argentina have an opportunity, just can't quite seem to build a bit of momentum. Okay, well then I'll be taking up with him. Like next time he's in South Africa, go and tell him to his face that that's not how you say it, and keep saying it. And let me know how that goes for you, because I don't think it would go particularly well. Thomas says, not a good start. PUMAS, come boys, what's going on? Lolitzo says these games are refereed by New Zealanders and Australians only. Interesting. Yeah, I'm quite frustrated we haven't had a South African referee. Where's Abad Turan? That's what we need in this in the Rugby Championship. I say Argentina playing to France and New Zealand playing a box style game with kicks in the scrum. Big scrum there from New Zealand. Aaron Smith picks it up and goes down the blind side. Caleb Clark has sat down 2 or 3 players, really trying to bring him down there. It was Kabeli who missed the first tackle. Aaron Smith has left the ball behind. And a penalty for New Zealand. Pablo Matera there, apparently being penalized for playing with his foot. I'd like to see a replay here. But Caleb Clark really showing his physicality there, and that's what they've been waiting to see. He's such a big unit, but he hasn't always been able to use it effectively so far in this Rugby Championship. Aaron Smith goes down the snipes here. Aaron Smith sits down Kabeli, gets away from Marcus Kramer. What is it with international broadcasts that we never actually get to see the infringement? I want to see what the penalty's for. I want to understand what the penalty's for. Why do they never ever show it? It's so annoying. Like the referee's made a decision. Can we see what decision he's actually made? Can we see why he's made the decision? Bit of a mess now. Comes and falls back towards New Zealand side. Richie Mwanga picks it up. And a couple of inside steps around there. Gets him on the front foot. Whitelock now carrying it up. As we're popping up short to Sam Kane, just puts his head down. Wasn't really expecting it. Was the New Zealand captain. 6th phase here for New Zealand. I think the difference between this and last weekend is that last weekend they weren't finding any game line advantage really. And I think that is the first penalty of the day for Argentina, and it's Marcus Kramer who gets into a very good position. So I think Pablo Matera actually seems to come away with that. And it's holding on there, so wins the penalty there. And that'll relieve it a little bit of pressure. Now, Argentina just need to settle into the game here. With 17 minutes gone, they're making a lot of mistakes. They just want a penalty here. That's a decent touch final from Carreras. He finds touch inside New Zealand territory, so they just got to go back to the basics. Win the line out, go through a few phases. Tish Horse came. Come on, All Blacks, keep the pressure up. So bored. I'm not even all back from sports box all day, every day. Yeah, well, I mean, come. This has got permutations to the box. So I've got to watch this match. Good line win there from Argentina. Much better. Nice flat ball needed. Solid carry there from Orlando. Now Kabeli looking to. But the ball comes across, just spills off to the side, and it's turnover ball. Mwanga now goes to the boot. Another kick in towards New Zealand. Machines being up and down at the moment. It's really frustrating. And Will Jordan carrying it up. He's made well on the tackle side. I think it's Avili actually. Sam Kane. Been pretty industrious so far in the early stages. Aaron Smith goes back to Ishmonga, who's in the pocket. Wonga goes back to the boot. Well taken by Carreras. RCB are doing a lot to disrupt the ruck, and Kabeli under a lot of pressure, eventually managed to get the ball out. Slavi is there, but not too much go forward ball. Now Kabeli bringing it all the way back for a box kick. Big hit there on the Sam Whitelock, but it is a turnover ball for New Zealand. They'll grab her ahead. And Geordie Barrett inside. Sorry, Will Jordan inside to Geordie. All of a sudden, New Zealand almost up to 22. Aaron Smith goes to Sam Whitelock. He fumbles it. Eventually gives it back to Brazil. Goes to Sam Kane. Sam Kane, good offload to Rieko Ioane, who puts the hammer down. Rieko Ioane brings in Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark is over. We saw him go over in the corner last weekend. We've just seen him go in the corner now. New Zealand 15 points to 0 after 19 minutes. And Argentina, well, this is threatening to get a little bit ugly. I said in the week that I thought that New Zealand would win, and I think at this rate, it's looking pretty ominous for Argentina. And it's funny how New Zealand every single time when they've almost been on the brink that they sort of come back with this kind of performance. But yeah, looking a little bit dodgy here. And if you're watching the Springboks vs Wallabies live stream as well, come to them in comments. I see that Christian is watching over there. Sean Barnard was saying, are we going to see any Oscar-nominated performances today in any of these matches? I'll be very surprised. I especially see the Nigel Owens seems to have put a bit of a microscope on that incident, because he came out and said that he didn't like what Nick White had said. He also said the Kurabeti tackle was illegal and should have been penalised. So Nigel Owens, which was quite controversial given the fact that it comes out on the World Rugby YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure. Steve Restart and Shannon Brazil carrying it up well. But I love to look at the tackle stats, because it seems to be a lot of tackles being slipped here by Argentina, which wasn't the case a week ago. I think they missed just 3 tackles or 4 tackles the entire match. I reckon they've already missed substantially more than that. Aaron Smith finds touch on the 10-meter. 17 points to 0 after 21 minutes. If Argentina don't score next, I think it's going to become a very, very long game for them. I'm going to check out some of the stats on Ultimate Rugby and see what they're starting to say. It's just taking a while to pop up. But according to Ultimate Rugby, they've already missed 5 tackles of Argentina out of 35. I think if we go back about a week ago, where was it? It was a week ago, they had missed just 9 across the entire match of 200 though. 9 of 992. They've so far missed 5 of 35. So yeah, not and 7 handling errors so far from Argentina as well. So very inaccurate across the entire park really. But they do have an opportunity here from a rolling maul. And it looks a lot better. Looks like a nicely set piece here. Kabeli's got his hands on it, decides to use it. Orlando carrying it up strongly. Kabeli goes to Karish, decides not to offload. And De Groot brings him down. And Sam Kane's gone straight through the ruck, and it's a knock-on advantage. And Sam Kane coming there. Had license to go for the ball, apparently. But knocks it on in doing so. A man under a lot of pressure is Sam Kane. And to be fair, I think probably been one of the best performers so far in the early stages here. Right. I mean, Kabeli went towards the right hand side, even though the entire backline was on the left, and then sort of realized that. So it was a bit weird. Parliamentero, though, carrying very strong, getting it up to Cordero, steps inside. He sits down. Aaron Smith still going as Cordero. Now short. This is much better from Argentina. Big tackle there from Sam Kane. They're looking to check a tackle, so he could be a bit of a trouble. Thomas Gallo carrying up strongly. Cordero going up himself. It's penalty advantage for Argentina. This is much better from the Pumas. And Emmanuel Barfelli is dragged out, but they are going to go back for the penalty. I think they were also looking for a tackle there. So I think they've got two options here to Argentina. So decision time for Montoya. 17-0. You've got to think they've got to go for the line, especially in the back of a reasonably successful maul. Yeah, they're going for the line. They have to go for the line out. They're well behind at this stage. So really, really strong carry there from Cordero. And they need a lot more of that. Short say on your fashion, the hoodie looks like does it feel good? Does it look like I'm in need of a new hoodie? And that's, yeah, it's nice. Actually, I was quite chuffed with it. I needed something which I need a bit of Springmark memorabilia for the winter months. Yeah, it's been quite a nice purchase actually. But it's pretty well defended from the maul there. Kabeli goes and the ball goes through the hands, but backwards. So lost a little bit of momentum here of Argentina, but they still got the possession. Oh, there's so many men out wide. There's so many men out wide, and the ball comes loose, and it's another turnover ball, another knock-up for Argentina. If they just run their hands, definitely would have been try-square opportunity. But it's turnover ball. Sam Watchalong comes away with it. Aaron Smith goes to Rico Wani. He goes to Artie Sevilla. And they're trying to hold him up. And he is brought down. Aaron Smith goes flat to Takawao. It's a really, really strong carry from him. He's a really good ball carrier. Yes, Samasoni Takawao. Now Aaron Smith will go to the boot. No, decides to go to Rico Wani. Saw the gap. Will Jordan kicks ahead. And it's well covered there by Santiago Cordero. Argentina back towards the halfway line and have to rebuild. And Carreras decides to go to the boot. It won't be contestable, so Jordy Barrett will have a bit of a freebie. It has time as well. Launched it down to the left-hand side of the park. Down the throat of Jean-Cruz Mollier. So it's Bafeli actually. Returns the favor. And Aaron Smith elects to watch it. So it's Richie Mwanga who decides to let it run, but it's not going to go all the way. He then decides to pick up and go. And then after all that, doesn't find a particularly good clearance, actually. I mean, he did really well to get away from the Argentina man who was flying up. Just decides to, instead of darting it down, to just pick up and go. But Santiago Carreras is down. How can you sit there and have it pop up that says center when he's got the number 10 jersey on him? He's had a bit of a clash with Sam Kane. Looks to be in quite a lot of pain here. Yeah, I think it's a knee to the inside of the thigh from Sam Kane. Sam Kane's been absolutely everywhere this today. The careers is up. Oh, it says Sydney had rain overnight, so weather's overcast and windy. Well, that doesn't bode too well. Argentina out with a good running more for the looks of it. Getting some nice momentum. Very looking to use it though. And he does use it. He goes to Orlando. It was a bit of a standing start, so doesn't get too much momentum. Very now pops up to Paulo Matera. Big hit on him. Ethan DeGroot thought he had a turnover. That's a really good line, but well read there. Ball comes back towards Kabeli. And it's a bit of a forward pass on the looks of it. No, nothing. Oh, and all of a sudden Orlando's through. Sorry, Maroney. Kabeli, quick ball. That's a horrible pass behind them. Paulo Matera goes up to clean up. Argentina back towards the 10-meter line after having a bit of momentum. It was a good line break. Good hands. Cordero looking to try and sit down Avili, who's equal to the task. Now Kabeli gives it to Julian Montoya. Big hit on him. Boot comes off a New Zealand player. And Jordy Barron a bit of pressure. But it is turnover ball. Lomax. Hit hard by Marcus Kramer. Pick up by Takoa, who goes himself. Makes a few meters as he always does. Aaron Smith short to Sam Whitelock. Sam Whitelock gets away from Orlando. And the tackle stats are not going to look very good for Argentina at half time. Chip over the top from Avili. Will Jordan. That's a high tackle on Maroney. Maroney's away. Maroney's away. Will Jordan will reel him in. There should be a penalty advantage. And then we'll go back for a penalty against Will Jordan for the high tackle. Pretty easy penalty to give. So Argentina had moments. They've had moments so far in this first half, but just very much struggling to try and capitalize on it. I don't know what the solution is really for them. Because it's an accuracy thing. You know, I said they've had some very good moments. They've had some line breaks, but they've struggled to convert. So the strip over the top was well read by Maroney. And yeah, the tackle just slipping up there from Will Jordan. He does get back to make the tackle, but you sort of feel that if Argentina are going to have any hope of winning this game, they've got to try and score a try for half time. They go to the front of the line. It's a good take by Guido Petit. Paulo Matera pops it up to Orlando. He's carried strong all day. They go short to Marcus Kramer. Mistimed the pass slightly, so didn't have as much momentum as he would have liked. Slowing the ball down, so there's a penalty for Argentina. You know, they might have to just go for the point just to try and get some points going. Kabeli gives it away to Lavanini, who throws away Sam Kane, then brought down by Sam Whitelock. Now Thomas Garrett, strong carry from him. So looking a bit better from Argentina. They go into their 6th phase, 7th phase. Inside ball. Oh, that's a massive, massive hit by Sam Kane. Kabeli to Carreras now. A couple of players outside. And as Moroni was going to the boot, just get hits in the tackle and knocks it on. So they will go back for the penalty. And I think there must be temptation to take the point. You're almost at to a stage where you have to take the point. Because how long are you going to, you know, you've turned down, what, probably 3. Yeah, they are going to go for points. They've turned down probably about 2 kickable penalties so far. So if they'd taken those 2 and this one, all of a sudden, you know, 17-0 could actually be 17-9. So, whilst, you know, when you're 17-0 down, you are tending to go to the line out. Sometimes if you can turn the momentum and you can win a couple of penalties, you can suddenly make 17-0 become 17-9, 17-12 quite quickly. But I must admit, I've been very impressed with Sam Kane today. He has under a lot of pressure, but for me, probably been one of the standouts for the All Blacks. Right, before his first kick of the match, he was flawless with the kicking tee. Boffelli, no issues as expected. He opens the tab for Argentina. You get their scoreline underway. 70 points to 3 after 32 minutes. Argentina will want to try and get some more points on the board before half time. We can go in 17 points to 6, 17 points to 9. They can still win the match. Obviously, plenty of rugby still to play. And it's a penalty for the All Blacks off the kickoff as well. For sealing off is the call. They went to the line up to New Zealand, and Sam Kane comes away with it. Marcus Kramer trying to stop him his track, but it doesn't look like he's got a penalty advantage. That's another penalty. Quickly taken here by Ali Sevilla. Penalty for not being back 10. So Sevilla's almost over here. Mateo trying to disrupt the ruck. Takawa comes away with it. He's driving. And he's over. And it's a yellow card as well coming out of the pocket. So somebody's going to go into the bin for Argentina. And what was already a bad half is going to be a terrible half. Because it looks like they've just lost Lavanini. He was one of their strongest players last weekend. Takawa always been very good so far in the first half. Has scored the try. New Zealand jogged back to the halfway line, and with the kick to come, they could have a 19-point lead with still 4 minutes to go. They've already got a bonus point at this stage for having 3 more tries than Argentina. But they've just been a different level to the men from South America so far. They're gonna have a check now. They're having a check here. But the hand that comes in, I'm not quite sure what they're looking at here. No try is the call. But now what happens to the yellow card? Because you're giving him a yellow card based on the. But how come the yellow card? Because this is an infringement that happened that took place before the yellow card infringement. So surely the guy has to come back on. So the referee, the commentator is also making the point, saying that if it's foul play, they can understand. But if it wasn't foul play, if it was just cynical or whatever, then it was cynical play in a pasture play, which shouldn't have mattered. In which case, surely he should be able to come back on. Yeah, I must admit, I think I don't know. It's depending on what he was binned for, but I think that they can feel quite aggrieved about not having the yellow card being brought back. But Julie Montoya hasn't even thought about it. He hasn't even asked the question. But if it is for foul play, then I don't think it really matters. Because foul play kind of trumps everything, really. Right, off the end there. Oh my goodness, Rico Wani has breezed through. That was as easy as you like. Under the poles, a set move. This is a little bit more like the New Zealand of old, isn't it? Rico Wani has dived under the poles. His first try of the year. His 32nd in his career. And Argentina in big trouble. I mean, they were under so much pressure. They had already a penalty advantage. And a preset move, Havili just, yeah, I mean, it's not even a preset move. He just runs really hard and then pops the ball up to Rico Wani at the last minute. And Mattis Moroni, guilty of not tracking his man. His opposite number has dove over. Right, 24 points to 3 with 2 minutes to go in the first half, and it's been very much one-way traffic. I'd like to know what Lavini was carded for. Because from the looks of it, I think it was it was a cynical infringement to try and stop the try, which, given the fact that the knock on which came, which saw the try disallowed, was before that incident, means that it shouldn't have mattered. But anyway, 24 points to 3. Argentina have been really, really poor in this first 40. They've got a bit of momentum from the more here, but they need to try and get this ball out. As the hooter goes, Kabeli goes to the big tight-head Slavi. Now Kabeli goes to Carreras. Carreras going down the blind side. And another knock on. Another knock on. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Right, so half time, and it's been a bit of a disaster half for Argentina. And Michael Cheika, I think, will be tearing into his Argentinian side because they have been really, really, really poor. 24 points to 3. It's been one-way traffic. It really has. And this Argentina side needs to do a lot more in the second half. Although you do also think that this game has definitely got away with them to a certain degree. But yeah, so we'll be back in a few minutes. We've still got an hour and 43 minutes until the Springbok match. So plenty of time to get some beers warm, nice and cold, nice and cold, which is what I'm going to do right now. Get some snacks in, and let's sort of build. And look, the New Zealand win does help the Springboks because it means if we were to win, the Rugby Championship is alive. But yeah, so we have to take a quick, short break, and I'll be back with you guys in a moment. back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Second half for Argentina versus New Zealand is about to get underway. And we need to see a lot of improvement from Argentina. We have seen a replacement here. So Michael Cheika has wielded the axe, and, well, I mean, to be fair, Santiago Carrera was carrying a bit of an injury. So we will see 40 minutes from Benjamin Urtapaleta. Still 4.5 minutes left on the yellow card for Lavanini. And a pretty good start so early on from yeah, so I'm just going to move this yellow card because that's to the Pumas, and there we go. Yeah, so still a yellow card for Lavanini, who has been shortly before half time. Still 4 minutes left on that. Argentina with an early opportunity with ball in hand here. They go back to Urtapaleta, who is in for the second half, and they've managed to retain the possession there, but fairly getting up nicely. So a nice start from the Pumas. They got to score first in this half. If they are to go anywhere. Paddy Matera, long ball over the top. Okay, Clark gets inside, and Malia comes inside. Big carry there from Slavi. But so far, very good defense tonight. I mean, All Blacks' physicality has been really impressive. I mean, Sam Kane's putting some really big hits in. And Argentina really struggled to dominate the game line. But that's a fantastic little dart there. Quick ball to Cordero. Gets away from Rico Awani. Inside ball. Argentina with possession inside the 22. Grondona is there. Looking an arm around his neck, but nothing from Nick Berry so far. Thomas Gallo, look at the physicality, but he loses the ball in possession. And turnover ball here from New Zealand. This is where they're dangerous. Will Jordan stabs the ball ahead. Cordera. It's taken so long to get that ball. He's under an immense amount of pressure. I don't know what was his rush there. Or lack of it, really. I mean, he got there well ahead of them, but just took an age to actually get the ball. Kabiri now gives to Matera. Argentina all the way back to basically their 5-meter line. So all that momentum lost, and that's kind of been the story of the day. Every single time they've had a decent passage of play, they find themselves all the way back in their own half. Urtapaleta now will find a touch just outside 22. Yeah, and Argentina pretty much starting the second half like they had the first half. A couple of very good moments, but every single time something's looked a bit promising. Sam Watchalong doing very well to root the ball in the tackle. Just before time, I'll be saying, can't believe one coach can turn around the All Blacks scrum to be the best in the world. Boxing specialist best coach ASAP to make our backs the best in the world. Should be an important league coach. Honey says Stormers beat SW Eagles 9-4-7 and Emirates Lions lost 43-45 against South Sharks in the opening URC friendlies. That happened yesterday. Takayao finding Scott Barrett, Sam Kane, giving it to Aaron Smith with the line inside ball. Jordy Barrett, big hit on him from Julian Montoya. Been quite quiet so far, has the Argentinian captain. Takawaho. Nato Lomax. Looking a promising year for New Zealand. Aaron Smith going to Whitelock. Whitelock going to Uchimawanga. Muki Allen to Takawaho. Matera's come off his line, but he has got away from two defenders and made a few meters. Montoya getting over that ball. Ball comes loose. Aaron Smith, not too many options, gives away to Will Jordan. Will Jordan decides to straighten. Eventually gets some support. Aaron Smith. Montoya's done brilliantly to dive underneath that. And New Zealand going into their 9th phase. Montoya is just desperately trying to find that penalty. Mwanga goes to Havili. Havili goes flat to Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark comes inside. Bounce off Buffet does enough to bring him down. Now the counter-attack comes in. And turnover ball. Buffetti's got him away with it all by himself, but that's really, really well done by the wing. It looked very ominous there for New Zealand. But turnover ball, yeah, for Argentina. And Kobeli will ask for a few blockers before he gets them out of their 22. Goes to the boot. And does find touch. Not a phenomenal touch finder, but will leave a little bit of pressure for Argentina. To a Lomax now from the back of the line out. Argentina pops it up to Scott Barrett. Petty was up quickly to make the tackle. Big counter coming in. But a penalty for going off his feet. I think it's against Lavanini, who's literally just walked back on, so we can take get rid of the yellow card. I mean, he's literally just walked back onto the park as Lavanini, and he gets penalised. Eh, dear. Old habits die hard, eh? And New Zealand decided to take the points. Probably a good idea. 27 points to 3. They're very good at bonus points. Now it's just about seeing the rest of the game out. So all they'll do, they'll totally take, I mean, every single time that they have an opportunity to take points, they will. And it looks good. This is from Richie Mwanga. 27 points to 3. A 24-point advantage with still 33 minutes to go. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a very Argentina performance in that they 1 week will be world beaters and look like $1 million, and then the week later will not be able to repeat that performance. There's a reason it's taking them so long to go back-to-back wins in the Rugby Championship. And Alemano is on for Guido Petty. Stan came from the kickoff. And Bello is on for Slavi. No chip at the top from Mwanga. That's well read, though. And Bertrand as well on at scrum half. So Michael Checker making quite a few changes now to try and find a bit of a spark. Paletta goes up in the air. It's well taken by Geordie Barrett, who had a bit of time. And a penalty conceded by Argentina. Not going well here. Not going well here. And if you're watching on Fair Sports, we are going to be swapping over to our fan forum in a little bit. So if you want to continue watching the All Blacks versus Pumas, you can do so on it's on the same channel, it's just on a different stream. If you're on Fair Sports, we will be switching over to that fan forum in a little bit, which was recorded on Thursday. We'll probably switch on there in about 5 minutes time. So if you would like to continue watching the Universe Argentina Watchalong, you can find that on the same channel. As Buffeli marks that kick there, takes it quickly and brings out that right boot of his. But Mwanga's underneath it well. Now New Zealand looking to build. Chip at the top from Mwanga. As well taken by Argentina. We've covered those quite well, but that's a massive counter coming in from New Zealand. And another penalty. This time is against Pablo Matera. And this could be another 3 points here for New Zealand. They just can't do anything wrong at this stage. I mean, the penalty count really, really hurting Argentina. And they're going to go for the line. Try and really put the pedal to the metal here. According to Ultimate Rugby, there have been 6 penalties against Argentina and 4 against New Zealand. But for me, the big part of Argentina is 15 tackles missed so far from 99. 85%. Last week, they were operating at, I think it was like 97% tackle success rate. The line was taken there by Sam Whitelock. Penalty advantage for New Zealand. Takawao comes away with it. Another penalty advantage. It's Shannon Frizzell. It's quite a quiet game. Carries it up. And another penalty. And Argentina could be at risk of getting another yellow card yet at this rate, because the penalty count really starting to kick in at the moment. Yeah, I was having a word here, is Nick Berry with Julie Montoya, just to say the penalty count is getting far too high. He's asked for an opportunity to speak to his men. She's been afforded. 35, 46, 49, 50, 52. The last 5 penalties you can see all coming from Argentina. Right, and that's going to be a good time for the break. So again, as I said, if you want to continue watching the New Zealand versus Argentina watch-along, you can continue watching that on Forever Sports on the New Zealand versus Argentina watch-along stream. The Wallabies versus Springboks stream is going to switch to our fan forum, which was held on Thursday. So that's where we're going to move there. So yeah, and we will see you guys just after 11 for some live build-up for the Wallabies versus Pumas game. But yeah, if you're watching on Forever Sports on the Wallabies versus Springboks stream, we're moving to our fan forum. I hope you guys enjoy that. I'm not quite sure what's going on in my in this stream over here. Hang on, let me see if I can try and fix it. This is going to disaster. My entire studio background's gone. Oh no! I'll sort it out right now. Okay, so let me take a look at the difficulties today. It's not gone well. Scrum here, RCV coming away to Geordie Barrett. Mwanga goes to Will Jordan. We'll fix the background on the watch along right now. Give me 2 seconds. And that's another try. It's another try. I'm actually getting a little bit of issues with YouTube, so we're going to actually probably have to call out the All Blacks versus Pumas stream now, unfortunately. But yeah, so unfortunately, we're going to have to call it there because I'm going to have issues with YouTube, and I want to make sure that we're ready for the block game, so we're going to call it there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Unfortunately, we can't finish there. It is a penalty for Argentina, so the score remains 27 points to 3. We'll catch up on exactly what happens this in a little bit. But live build-up will start on the All Blacks, the Wallabies versus Springbok channel in about 40 minutes. So we'll see you guys all then.